Hey, good morning, everyone. Did you enjoy those storms last night? I know you did because I was in Discord at like 1:15 a.m. when the tornado siren went off, which, as you know, I'm an Oklahoma girl, didn't really bother me. I was just like, oh goodness, what are they doing now? Please tell me they're not testing the damn sirens right now. But I saw that it was going through Nowata, Oklahoma, through Coffeyville, and up into Kansas. And I'm like, yeah, keep them in Kansas. I mean, all they have is sunflowers and hay there. So, hey there, how's everyone doing? Hey, Kylie and Candy. You know, you're one of our top chatters. Good for you. My goodness. Luana said, I was watching Reed Timmer storm chasing. He was on it. Oh, boy. Well, I wasn't. I was eating a sandwich and I was watching TV, and then the siren went off. And to be quite honest, I probably would have slept through the siren, but OJ was headbutting me because he wanted to get up and eat. And so I've been up ever since. If I sound a little bit manic, it's because I'm operating on like little sleep and I've had a lot of coffee. Okay, let's take a second and tell everyone good morning and remember the real reason why we're here. Luana says, bless OJ's heart. There's really no reason to ever bless OJ. I think it should be the other way around. I think you should bless my heart for dealing with OJ. Hey, Tina King, how are you feeling? I know you've got to be in a ton of pain after your surgery. Our friend True Crime Beat is in here. If somebody could drop her link for an amazing video she did last night about Corey. It's a hard watch. It will bring you to your knees, bring you to tears, but she does amazing work. And don't forget to subscribe to her, please. True Crime Beat, you can do it yourself if you want. Woo, woo, woo. And so we have a very interesting panel today. You know why we're here. It's been 5 years since Corey was murdered by his so-called father. His so-called father. For those of you that are new to the case, let me explain the dynamics. You see the beautiful lady in the top left-hand corner of your screen. That is Bree, his mother. You see the beautiful little boy on the right giving her a kiss. That is Corey. You see the piece of garbage below Bree. That is his donor and the person that is serving time for his murder. Okay, so first, I want to make sure all mods, all hands are on deck because there's really no questions to ask anymore. The case is done and over, unless you have like an actual question that you have your curiosity about. But there's no blaming, questioning the family's intentions or anything like that. So without further ado, and we have two very special guests in the background. First, we are going to bring up our dear friend, Corey's grandma, Rebecca. Well, good morning, my dear friend.
Good morning.
I know we've only talked off and on all morning, and I'm going to ask you the question again because other people are going to ask, how are you doing today?
It's tough. um, the video that someone just made, you just mentioned her name.
True Crime Beat. So she made you cry. Well, I'll talk to her about
She
that.
was that was the first thing I saw this morning, and that had me going. That just started me off, and it was beautiful though, and totally on point. Um,
No,
which a
she's
lot of
awesome.
people don't get, but she got it, and it was very nice. Thank you.
Oh,
But
no, she's amazing. She is absolutely amazing. I was just making light of the whole situation because I told you about it and I said it's a really, really tough watch. And you said, yeah. And then I break down on Rebecca. What a sorry sack of shit I am for crying to Rebecca when obviously he's not my grandson.
yeah, it's tough. I got a phone call from someone very close to the case. She wrote about it, reported on it, during the whole trial, and she called me this morning, and not as a reporter, but just to see how I was doing. And man, I let loose and told her all my horrible feelings, and I felt so bad after, like, but
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
it's just not. It's not getting any easier. Like people say, oh, with time it's going to get easier. And it's not. And, Corey wasn't sick. He didn't die because he had cancer or something. He didn't get hit by a car. He was abused and murdered by Chris Greger. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't an illness. It wasn't something that you could accept. It's just something, it's just not getting any easier. My feelings for Chris and his family have not changed. If anything, I feel more hate towards them than ever.
Now, if you need to step away, go ahead. But there's some people in here that aren't familiar with the case, so I have to start with the treadmill.
Of course, I understand.
Okay. Before I do that, let's talk about what are you doing for Corey today besides being here? What all have you put on his grave site?
We'll be going up around 5 o'clock today. As you know, he passed around 5:30 um, today, 5 years ago. So the family will be going to his grave and just taking flowers and balloons, and then we'll go back home to my house and have dinner and just be together.
Does his little sister understand?
Um, no, she, um, we take her to the cemetery. As soon as we get near the cemetery, she knows she's going to see Corey. And, she goes to his grave and she plays with the toys and things that are there. And, we tell her he's in heaven. She understands that he's not here, but I don't, she's 3. She doesn't get it. She just knows that to visit and play with her brother, that's where you go, but he's not there. And I can just recall one time leaving the cemetery, and I was in the back seat with her. She was in her car seat, and she just looked at me and said, "Where's Corey?" Like, she knew we were just there, but she's starting to ask, like, where is he? Like, I think what she was trying to say is, like, where is he? Like, he's not here. Like, she's not understanding. I'm here present next to her. Her mother's there. Like, where is he? And that just killed me. Like, because at some point she's going to have to understand and we're going to have to explain it. And it's just, it sucks. She shouldn't have to go to a cemetery to play with her brother.
No, not at all. And you've already put out Easter decorations for Corey.
Yes, we did that. I don't know, about 2 weeks ago, I guess, a week or two ago. And we'll go up again, of course, on Easter. And I usually take candy or eggs or something and leave it. And yeah, that's pretty much what we do. I have a little memorial garden at my house. I'll also do the same there. So yeah, that's life. That's what we do.
Okay. All right, everyone keep it together. And I was on the phone in June of 2021 with Bree. I had just started this channel and I saw this movement going through about a little boy that had died, but nothing was being done about it. I reached out to this chick named Bree, and I can say that because I always said, "Hey, chick," when she would call. And she was like, "They have a video of my son on a treadmill, but I haven't seen it." She was just explaining it to me. And I said, "Oh my God, does your mom know?" And she goes, "Yeah, I told her." And I'm like, okay. So I'm thinking like Rebecca might go burn down the entire apartment complex because I was like, fuck me. So if you haven't seen it before, here it is. And by the way, this is not edited. This is not AI. This is what Christopher Gregor had to look at in court. Okay. I know there's still some people that think it's not real, and it is. There's a lot of goofy people on the internet. Right, Rebecca?
Oh, most definitely.
But we're not any of them. Okay, look at the douchebag in the back lifting weights. All right? Getting all pumped up with his son on the treadmill. Now, for one, I'm going to say treadmills are dangerous even for me at 50 years old. Okay? Especially if someone doesn't have their hair all tied up and stuff like that. Some people use them all the time, but they obviously have better grace than me. When this finally came out, my jaw hit the floor. Was it ever revealed maybe I've heard it, maybe I haven't, why Christopher Gregor thought Corey was fat?
You know, I think Chris had so much hate for me because, um, you know, I would go toe to toe with him and wouldn't back down.
Mhm.
He couldn't manipulate me, and I was heavy, so, you know, then therefore I was feeding Corey McDonald's every day because that's what I did, and he was going to whip him into shape so he didn't become a fat slob like me. So, um, you know, I think that that was the whole idea, you know, that he was going to make him a better person than what we had created. So in his eyes, Corey was unhealthy and fat, and you know, but you can see in the video he wasn't. But
No, he's a healthy boy.
yeah,
He is a healthy, healthy boy. You've seen a picture of my granddaughter.
yeah,
Oh my goodness. She is a chunky monkey.
yeah. Cute though.
Okay, so he's still in the back working out. Please don't forget, Corey did not die on the treadmill. I do know that there was a lot of discovery going on, a lot of talk going on about Mike Tyson's daughter dying on the treadmill. That was a totally different situation. This was a precursor to his murder. That's the reason Rebecca says all the time, he's not just the boy on the treadmill. So he gets up, he clearly speeds it up, which is extremely dangerous. It should have just been like walking speed. Okay. And I do want to know that why in March of 2021 that Christopher Gregor's apartment said it was okay for children to be working out.
Right. I'm sure, as with any gym, whether it be in a hotel, an apartment complex, or whatever, they usually have signs posted that no one under 16 should be on the equipment. Um, you know, I don't know if it was posted or if, you know, Mr. Wonderful just ignored the rules because they don't apply to him. Um, I'm not sure.
Okay. Because we lived in a condo and it basically said there is no one under 18 coming in here. No.
Yeah.
No one. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. That's enough. Rebecca's very upset. Rebecca, do you need a break?
I'm fine.
Okay. Let's bring up Mindy. She's a former CPS worker in New Jersey. She's also a member of the channel. She's a super, super cool girl. I actually have an email pulled up from her, and I want to read it to you before she comes up. Dear Brooks, I'm writing to you today as a friend of Rebecca's and an active supporter of justice for Corey. I first had the opportunity to connect with Rebecca, Corey's dear grandmother, and now a friend during the first protests held in Monroe, where we rallied for justice in 2021. Is that the one where Ashley Savage sent the pizza to, or the other one?
That was probably, I believe that was the one at the DCPMP office. This was the one in Monroe Township by where Chris, his family lived.
Okie doke. Okay.
Yeah.
So she sent pizza to that one too.
Oh, I don't remember. There was so much going on.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I just miss her dearly, and I just loved how she would reach out.
Yeah.
My commitment to this cause was deeply solidified after encountering Rebecca's powerful Facebook posts, which detailed the profound injuries Corey has sustained. As a retired manager from the Department of Child Protection and Permanency, my professional background immediately compelled me to offer my expertise and unwavering support to Corey's family during such a critical time. I have diligently followed the proceedings, attending every single day of the trial to ensure I was fully apprised of developments. Furthermore, I dedicated significant time to conducting comprehensive search into DCPP, policy and procedures, gathering pertinent information that I believed could aid in advocating for Corey. Throughout my involvement, I also captured various photographs from the first protests. Please let me know if these visual records would be of any assistance. I have policies in hand, structured decision-making, Corey's death and fatality report, and many other policies that were not followed in Corey's case. And she is more than welcome to come up. If everyone could please give a huge round of applause to our friend, Mindy. Well, look at you, beautiful girl. How are you?
Hello. I don't have a picture to put up. I didn't know how to do that.
Oh, you're okay. You are perfectly fine. You're absolutely gorgeous. I can turn my camera on too. Hang on.
Oh, okay. Hi.
Hi. I just haven't washed my hair yet today, and I'll have my lipstick on.
Oh, I just
So,
put a little bit of, yeah.
no, my hair's just all tied up, and I have my Kansas City Chiefs T-shirt on. Are you a KC Chiefs fan?
I'm a what fan?
Oh,
I don't think.
Kansas City Chiefs. That's okay. Don't worry about it. We're good. Okay, so what
Yeah.
do you think protective services should have done different?
Well, as I said before, I had looked up, a lot of policy. No, I've retired, just so you know, 2017. It's going to be 10 years next year. Regarding some of the policies, one of the most outstanding one was that they did not interview Corey alone. It's our procedure, policy, best practices everywhere when you interview a potential victim of abuse, that you interview them in a neutral setting. So if it's during the day, you would try to go to their school. In this case, that wasn't possible. But what you do is you go into the home and you respectfully say, I'm here. I need to interview this child, and I need to interview him, in a comfortable setting alone. So can you please step into another room? I make them feel comfortable and say, you can listen to, what they're saying, but I make sure that I have a private room to interview them. So he was always interviewed in the presence of Chris Greger, almost every investigation. And, we could maybe in the future go into every investigation because I have a report on that that's public. But he was always interviewed in the presence of the alleged perpetrator. There is procedure that's best practices where you interview in certain order. So you would interview first the non-offending parent, okay, and get background information. Then you would, or interview the victim first, then the non-offending parent, the other way around. Interview the child first in a neutral setting where they feel safe and they're not in front of the alleged perpetrator or even the other parent, really. And then you interview the non-offending parent, which in this case would be Brianna, and then you would interview the alleged perpetrator. So you would have, that information, and then you would address the allegations. Another thing that I think, in my opinion, is I'm not sure the training and the experience the worker had. The fact that they just did not interview Corey alone is just an outstanding, obvious. I mean, does everybody agree with me that you interview a child alone to get a story, to get the truth?
100%. I mean, I can't tell you how many cases we've done on this channel, and there's normally a forensic child psychologist there, a guardian ad litem, and they are never spoken to, even if it's at the emergency room with the parent.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, Florida's got it down pat. There was a case over the weekend where a father, he said he had to see his son. Now, here's the thing. The father did nothing to his son, but they had to tell the father no to make sure the father did not cause the injuries because he was the only one that saw him, and they were abnormal injuries. So, I mean, even though it seems invasive, and he understood, he didn't have a fit about it.
Yeah.
Christopher Greger had to have his thumb on everyone. Rebecca, Bree, your agency, the police.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There was so many attempts. There was actually, I think, 11 referrals overall, in totality. And the last one was, right before Good Friday. Rebecca, I think that's when it was, and it lasted, and the investigation lasted way too long. Yes. So now, had they done that in the correct order, they would have interviewed Corey in a neutral setting. And hopefully Corey felt, strong. He's a strong boy. He's a strong boy, as you can see. And hopefully he would feel comfortable speaking in a neutral setting without his dad right in front of him. And not even, at the Greger home was a little, intimidating. Had they then gone to see Brianna's home, as indicated in reports, they would have seen a beautiful home with pictures of Corey, a very loving, well-kept, uh, beautiful home that showed love, that showed relationships, that showed connections, that showed family. And I'm getting emotional now.
No, it's okay. Take a deep breath. Let me ask you something. What does it mean to a worker when they see a home like Rebecca's and they see all of these pictures of Corey, all of these mementos, his first handprint, colorings he's done, and then they do the timeline and they realize he didn't have any accidents until, and you know what I mean by accidents.
Oh, we're gonna go. Yeah, we're going there. We're going there because that's the
We're
next
going
topic.
there, we're going there, girlfriend,
Yeah, we're going there. Yeah.
until he met Christopher Gregor. Is
Right.
that
And then
something
they go to Christopher Gregor's. I'm so sorry. Then they go to Christopher Gregor's home and they document not one picture. You know, it was, you know, when he was in Barnegat, okay? Not one picture of him. It was like a bachelor pad. There was workout stuff, you know, for lifting. It was like, you know, and he had a nice bed. You know, Corey did have a bedroom, a desk, and a bed. Not one picture. No pictures or anything. No, nothing to show. Wow, I've reconnected. I love my boy. This is my son. I love him, and nothing like that. Another big thing that I wanted to go into now, when you mentioned the injuries, is that when I had mentioned in the letter to you that when I saw it was Brianna's post, and then Rebecca might have posted it after, but when I saw the injuries were in all high risk areas. Okay, so they were you know, they call it a busted lip, right? So it was swollen and it was cut. So we would call it, you know, a laceration, not busted. It was a laceration of the lip. That's how I would describe it as a worker. And then I would document the size. And that was explained away. Then he had another injury, you know, that was to the forehead, like a big bump on his head. Then another injury was a hemorrhage in the eye, the white of the eye. So when you see these three injuries, separate referrals, different excuses or plausible possibilities, once in a lifetime, maybe, like there's just too many. So
okay, let's start with one at a time. Okay.
Sorry.
If you can see on the screen, no, you're fine. You're doing nothing wrong.
Oh, you have the pictures. Yes.
I have some that I got from, and these are public record, and
Yes.
this is a bite mark. Would this not have been of a concern if you were in charge of this case?
Yes. And as I said to Rebecca, absolutely 1,000%. Yes. These are not common injuries that 4 or 5, you know, would be getting. Normally, if we see bruises on, you know, the shins, the knees, you know, where you normally see typically kids have injuries. This is an absolutely suspicious injury, and I'm not sure what the explanation was for that one. But I do have all the referrals that one day we can break down. I didn't have enough time to pull it up or send it to you. So I don't know which one this one is.
No, it's okay. No, I mean, okay. Just what we can remember. Then we have this one. Now that's a very deep bruise.
Yes. Now this is another area. Okay, this is another area that is a high risk area in that it goes to your internal organs. Now, even if you bump into something, or it was always sports related, I think. I'm not sure if this is from the treadmill or if this is one of the excuses that it was sports related. I'm not sure which one this is, but it's absolutely a high risk area. The high risk areas that we look at are the face, the head, the torso. Okay. Now, if we see bruises on the butt, we're not, you know, it's definitely not cool. We counsel them, we advise them, we assess a lot of different areas, but these are absolutely high risk areas. These
Right.
are not normal. And you put these all together, it's horrific.
It matches straight up with his autopsy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This must have been, I'm going to guess, I hate to say it. I don't even want to say the words because I don't, but this probably is what, as a result of one of the many treadmill, because there was a previous treadmill, there was a couple of treadmill referrals. They advised Christopher Greger not to use a treadmill. And then he continued to do it anyway. And they never substantiated anything until Corey was gone.
Yep.
They never substantiated anything.
Okay, then we get to this one. What would cause this?
One.
Was he shaken?
To be honest with you, that's a good question. And that would require a medical evaluation. That would be to my worker, or when I started when I was 23, I was knocking on doors, doing investigations myself, and then I went up to chain. If I was a worker, I'm not even going to go there. Okay. He is seeing an ophthalmologist. He is seeing a doctor. We are getting, a medical personnel to see him. Because I'm not even going there with an eye.
I just want to interrupt real quick.
Yes, please.
Sure.
I remember when this happened, I worked for an ophthalmologist. I don't know if you guys all know that. And I was sitting at my front desk and Bree sent me this picture. And one of the doctors, we were just hanging at the front desk because we weren't busy. And I said to her, "Oh my God, look at this." And she said, "He needs to get checked out. That's like head trauma. Something happened."
Oh God.
Because Chris tried to say, "Oh, it was shampoo in his eyes."
No.
And I'm like, listen,
no.
I don't claim to know everything, but I do know that was not shampoo in your eye. And, so Bree insisted on going to the ER, but Chris went with her so she couldn't talk and say what she thought. She was kind of restricted because Chris stood guard. He wanted to make sure it didn't get told, like what happened. And I was surprised that, nobody made a referral to DCPMP on this. Bree made the referral. Bree called it in. We called it in. It's like, how many times does a professional miss the bus? It was odd. And then I believe they followed up with the pediatrician.
Besides the social workers, I'm just very confused why doctors missed all this.
That's what I'm saying. I believe he went to the pediatrician also for the same thing. And then it was, maybe he was jumping on the bed and hit his head, I think was the next story Chris told.
Rebecca, may I ask you who brought him to the doctors? Who brought him, Chris?
Bree took him to the ER. Chris came with her, went with her, followed her there. And then afterwards, Chris went to IV Pediatrics by himself.
Oh,
and
Chris,
let me just say that the scumbag never paid co-pays or anything. And upon Corey's death, I paid the balance that was owed to IV Pediatrics because Chris never paid the bill. Just saying. Not that that's got anything to do with anything, but just putting that out there.
Chris always maintained control of any part of the investigation and of Bree, and wasn't able to control Rebecca, as Rebecca mentioned.
That's why it's so funny that Bree had given me custody way before, right before all this started with Chris, and Chris kept pushing up. Why don't you give Bree custody back? I don't understand. We can do this, me and Bree together, but co-parenting. Why don't you? He wanted her to have custody back so bad. And I totally understand why, because he could manipulate Bree. He couldn't do that to me. I would just plain up tell him, F yourself, go F yourself, you big goon. Like, I didn't let him play me like that because I would have laid him out. Like, I'm not taking it. So he had to have Bree back in the picture. And not that she was ever out, but you know what I mean? He needed to be able to manipulate. And we all know how he did that. We know the terrible things that Bree had to do to keep Corey safe.
Well,
Oh,
I mean,
yes,
you can clearly see where the thumb is. There's a bruise there as well, and you can see yellowing in the eye.
absolutely. This and you know what? If DCP&P got a referral regarding who it was from. Now, first of all, a lot of times, referrals got made back and forth, and Chris could always influence it, saying, "Oh, she's just mad at me. Oh, she's just this. Oh, she's just that," and that
Yeah.
will throw a worker, an inexperienced worker, off guard. And that's another part of the story is, the Gregors, were law enforcement, and Christopher was able to like model his father's behaviors and actions, even though his brain was like a psychopath, but he was able to socially, you know, connive, and con the worker. But these pictures are just hard to look at, really. So if I'm a little bit triggered by it, yes, that's what I mentioned. Yes.
Okay.
And look at this beautiful face. Let's just talk about Corey for 1 minute. And look at this beautiful, beautiful boy. He's
Beautiful.
so smart. He's so, oh my gosh. This is absolutely, again, as I said, the head. That is right next to your brain. That is a bruise. Now, that might have been, Rebecca, I don't know if you know that one. Was that the one where he alleged that a soccer ball hit him in the forehead?
No, that's part of the treadmill, I believe. One of the
Oh,
first treadmill, I believe. Or that might
yeah.
have been diving in the pool, and he hit the bottom of the pool when he dove in, scraped his face on the bottom of the pool or something.
Oh, that's not as great. Again, maybe
Okay, well,
one day.
let's look at where he fell down.
He's going to bite him on the head, too, everybody. Sorry, Rebecca. And that's abnormal.
Okay,
That
so
is.
I can see how he got that bruise. I can
Well,
see.
he'd also used the treadmill on other occasions, and there was another incident where he was bruised from head to toe. That was the first treadmill incident in David Gregor's house. So I don't know if the picture you showed was of the first treadmill incident or this one. I'm not certain which one it is. It may have been the very first time, because this seemed to be Chris's weapon of choice for a long time, the treadmill.
Let me ask you something. I don't know how long you've known Christopher Gregor. I'm sure you've told me and I have forgotten. Was he fat at any point in his life? Because he seems to be obsessed with someone being.
Look at him in the video. I mean, he's a little doughy there, don't you think? I don't think he's physically fit in that picture. He looks a little puffy to me. I mean, I don't know. When I met him, he was, he always looked about the same, but he always had that little bit of a belly and stuff. I wouldn't say that he was in great shape. He didn't have, I don't know. I think maybe he fluctuated, but I do think that this is a behavior that was handed down to him by his father. I think that, his dad instilled in them that you had to be the best and always the best. And there was no second place in that house. You had to be first place and the best at everything you did. And I think that, they were, Chris was required to be in shape and athletically, he had to be very fit. And I think this behavior was handed down. I think these things were done to Chris growing up, the working out and the discipline, if that's what you want to call it. And I think it was a learned behavior. I think
My kids always got chunky before they got a growth spurt.
Yeah.
I mean, they always did. I mean, they would eat and eat and eat and eat. And the next thing you know, there's no shoes in the house they can wear. And their jeans look like Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah. 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 I mean, when Chris met Corey, I wouldn't say Corey was overweight. I mean, what kid doesn't? They fluctuate, like you said, but
Yeah, that's really not the point. And Christopher Greger had absolutely no reason to bring it up. Okay, so the initial autopsy revealed that Corey died as a result of blunt force injuries with cardiac and liver contusions with inflammation and sepsis. Greger was arrested in July of 2021. I remember that, on charges of child neglect. Very weak charge. Very weak charge. I did not like that at all. But can't go back in time, okay? And we can't change the justice system. Doesn't matter what state you live in. After investigators reviewed the horrific surveillance footage from the gym, specifically by having Corey run on a treadmill and increasing the speed, causing Corey to fall, placing him back on the moving treadmill while appearing to bite his head, causing said child, it's not said child, it's Corey, to fall several more times. An arrest warrant read, Corey's death was determined to be homicide in September of 2021 after a forensic pathologist found that the 6-year-old suffered from chronic abuse, including blunt impact injuries on his chest, abdomen, laceration on his heart, and left pulmonary contusion. Well, that kind of says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, somebody missed something, and it wasn't Rebecca and it wasn't Bree, because they bitched up a hailstorm.
I wasn't the only. Bree made calls. Nicole made calls. I made calls. I believe Vito put a couple calls, and we were making the calls to DCPMP. I don't know what they consider a referral. I mean, I thought every call is, looked at as a referral, but apparently not, because Mindy mentioned 11, and I know there was a lot more than 11. So I don't know what they consider a referral. Is that just something that they decide to investigate and the other calls are overlooked? I don't know how they do it, but there was a lot more than 11 because there were several of us making those calls.
This is what I wanted to add, that if calls were made to the name, I have his name, but the worker,
Mark.
Yes.
We can say his name, the piece of shit. I don't care to say his name.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Rebecca knows what she can't say on here. She can't say nigger, cunt. She can't say fuck you to someone directly, and she can't talk bad about Islam or Jewish people. So I think we're all good.
Okay. All right. Rebecca's got it.
Okay. No, that's basically what it comes down with YouTube. So just wait until, just don't call me those words, okay, Rebecca?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
What I was going to say is, if someone called him instead of a hotline, it might not have been recorded properly. So if, say, Nikki called Mark instead of calling the 800 number, and he didn't report it to the 800 number, then it's not necessarily treated as an official report. Okay. And he could basically do what he want with it. If it's reported to the hotline, the 800 number, that's when you basically, a screener would document the referral, and they would have a supervisor code it, C-O-D-E, code it, whether they should be responded to or not. And I'm sure it would have been responded to. But if Mark did not refer it, I happen to have the report up now. I don't have your email real quick. If you could send it to me, I could send you the report. It is public information. However, Rebecca, I don't know if you want to, I could send it to you now real quick. If you just tell me the first couple of things of your email, Brooks. Are you sending it to me?
My email is the same one you sent it to, CLL7.
CLL?
Yeah, C is in Charlie.
Oh, CLL.
Yeah, L as in lettuce, 72020 at gmail.com.
Okay, wait. I think it'll come right up. CLL. I'm sorry. Say it again.
Um,
7.
yeah. Yeah. Charlie, Leon, 72020 at gmail.com. And thank you, Kat, so much for the super sticker. Rebecca, where are we at right now with Corey's plaque for the library?
Bree is going to the library to, I guess, fill out the form to put whatever she wants it to say.
Okay, but it's all paid up, right?
Yes, and thank you to everyone who contributed to that. We all thought about what we wanted to do this year, and sometimes we get donations for we make a donation to the school or to different things, and we just couldn't think of anything this year. So, this was something that will always be there. I also have something else I wanted to share. I'm in the early stages, but I'm trying to establish a scholarship for a student who is going into maybe social work or something. I haven't decided, I don't know how we're going to go about doing it or the dollar amount on the scholarship in Corey's name, but we're working on doing something like that in his memory. I haven't decided which school district, and it's early stages. So, but that's all happening. So we are doing positive. Corey was just not the kid on the treadmill. He was so much more than that, and I'm not going to let that awful event define who he was. If anything, that just tells everybody who Chris Greger is. That treadmill.
And at this point, he's the cause, but he's not the after effect. Okay.
Right.
I mean, he's a real piece of shit. So as hard as it's going to be, did everyone sub to Rebecca? Because there's still things going on with this case. I want everyone to be in tune with it, because I can tell you right now, he will have an appeal coming up.
He filed it already. It's in the works now.
There we go. And we're going to be right there for that. Okay.
I talk about it on my channel a lot. So I don't know if anybody knows about my channel, but I do have a YouTube channel where I discuss things.
Okay. Well, we have 99 people in here, and I guarantee everybody better sub. And by the way, 102 now. All 102 of you better hit the like, okay? Or I will have to use those words I spoke about earlier that you can't say on YouTube. Now, we're going to talk about Corey's final day, which is a horrible thing to do.
Sorry. Can I just say something really quick?
You better. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm just really excited about the library. Corey's legacy is going to be forever. And that's thanks to everybody from Justice for Corey, Brianna, everyone loving on Brianna and Rebecca and the whole family. Because let me tell you, there's many more victims, beyond Brianna and Rebecca. I'm friends with the family, and there's so many, many, many family members that are victims as well from the Greger family. So, but I just want to tell you, it is so gorgeous. The pictures that I've seen of the plaque that will go right in the hallway of where Corey used to go as a child, and where Rebecca takes Ileana, Brianna, they visit, and she'll be able to see her brother's name up there. And I'm smiling now because it just makes me really happy that that they came up with this great 5th anniversary of his being gone is what I say. He's gone. He's just not here. So, the legacy is going to be beautiful, and I just can't wait until it comes to fruition. So I just wanted to add that.
Can I ask you something, Mindy? Because I think the plaque is an amazing idea since Corey loved to read so much.
Yes.
And his first grade teacher, Rebecca and Bree, still fully support. I voted for her. And I have a granddaughter. She's not even 2 months old yet, but she loves to be read to. Now, this is going to be a totally off the wall question. Rebecca's doing great things on her channel. And again, okay, I see, everybody is subbing. Thank goodness. Oh my God. Does not anyone not know how to scroll up? Okay, let me find the link again and I will pin it. Goodness. Y'all wear me out. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind. Okay.
Oh, I love that song, Brooks.
I know.
That's my kind of music.
I'm telling you, I'm just joking with them anyway. Okay, let's see. Let me pin this. Let me see. Pin message. Okay, it's pinned. That is Rebecca's channel. In the meantime, okay, there we go. Kat did it too. So Rebecca started her channel, and a lot of her followers are for the Justice for Corey movement. Okay, now we know that Corey has had his justice. Christopher Greger is in jail. I saw some comments. Do you have moderators over there, Rebecca?
Yeah, me, myself, and I.
I'm helping. I'm going to be learning.
Mindy helps, but I also have, I don't know if you guys heard of Milk, Honey, and Mayhem. She helps me, and Toddy, One Skip, they come on my lives and kind of, I guess, help out. And, if there's somebody saying negative, they don't allow that and stuff. So, I have help. I just, I'm just not all together yet because my mind isn't quite together. So I'm just,
The channel's active. The channel's active, and she posts a lot of just like links. So you could just click on the links and you'll see everything, from that she's sharing and everything. So it's just YouTube is a lot more difficult, or I have to learn that. Rebecca's got to learn that, as opposed to just
I'm not volunteering my services because obviously I don't do that great of a job. You can see how much people love me. The other day, was it yesterday, the day before, I had a poll up saying, did you hit the like or no, you suck? And most people hit no, you suck. And I'm like, okay, that's awesome. That's just what it takes to have friends. So, if you would like to have, some moderators, to help you with stuff like that, I know a hardworking crew. Now, are you available to take Shannon? You did that shit, and you and Chrissy, look at that. Shannon's in here laughing, and so's Chrissy. Yeah, you guys are fucking assholes. Okay, Lee the Fifth has a question. I have a question. Sorry, I didn't follow the case. How long from the video did Corey pass away?
Probably about 10 days, I guess.
Yep. Okay.
And during that time, we had the police involved. Well, the police were involved. DCP were involved. The video was obtained. It was viewed. It was seen. A judge was involved. All in those 10 days.
And yet Corey was still made to go home with him.
Exactly.
Go figure.
Well, there's a lot of questions like, what information did the judge get from DCP&P? I would love to see what information that judge received from biased DCP&P.
Right.
As he reviewed Brianna's emergent request to change custody, which he denied, and the next day, Corey was beaten.
Right,
death.
but even if we get past the judge screwing up and not getting enough
Yes.
information or whatever, Corey was at 2 hospitals, his pediatrician's office, Mark, the social worker, or whatever his title is, the car parker. I don't know what Mark's role was at DCP&P, but whatever it is, he's not good at it. Anyhow, they all saw Corey at the hospital. Mark maybe wasn't physically present, but was on the phone with the emergency room doctor. So maybe the judge didn't order, Bree to have full custody that day, but the doctor and Mark had the ability to say this kid should not go back to him until further investigation. But guess what? They didn't.
You are so right, Rebecca. That's what they call a safety protection plan.
Right.
He had injuries all over his body, was seen by concerned, doctors.
Mandated reporters.
Exactly.
DCP&P themselves. I mean, what more can you do? I mean, did Donald Trump have to come there and check Corey out? Would that have made a difference? I mean, I don't know who else or what else could have been done. We did all the right things, and the people who should have helped didn't. That's the problem. He was right there. We handed Corey to them. Help us fix this. And they sent him back home.
There's policies in place on how to assess if a child's in imminent danger of death or harm, imminent danger of protracted injury. And they didn't follow that procedure. It's called a structured decision-making tool.
You know why? Because it was a holiday weekend and they wanted to go home. Nobody wanted to be bothered. There was no child.
In Senate or Senate did that. That is bullshit. We're talking about children.
Yep. They have no child abuse expert on call at our hospitals. It's obviously child abuse only happens Monday through Friday, 8 to 4 around here.
There's funding for it, though. There's funding for,
yeah, well,
child advocacy.
They're not implementing it. They're not doing it because in Corey's case, there was no expert there. It had to be the next day. And they knew that Corey was going home to his father. And when Chris didn't go to that appointment the next day at noon, how come somebody wasn't knocking on his door? That wasn't a red flag to any of these experts. Oh, that kid didn't come in for the exam. Mark from DCP&P should have been the first person to knock on Chris's door and say, hey, you were due for an exam at noon. That would have saved Corey's life, maybe. They failed. A lot of people failed. But you know who the biggest failures are? The Gregors. They knew about it. They lied about it. They allowed it. And now they're funding it and supporting it. Shame on them. I hope they die a horrible death and go straight to hell.
Oop, I love that. But they moved out of the state. I'm not buying it. Thank you so much for the super sticker. She said, check your email about photonics. I certainly will. You're exactly right, but you have to understand that the state budget totally shifted, which is not your problem, not Mindy's, not mine, but it's actually everyone's in New Jersey's. The state budget shifted, and I looked into that too, and they took a ton of money away from Child Protective Services to allow people into your state that are from other countries, as you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't follow much about any of that. I just know that when you go to an emergency room, okay, and you're having a cardiac issue, they don't ask the janitor to come in and look at you. What do? They get the cardiologist on call, right? Am I right? When you go into the emergency room with a broken bone, an orthopedic comes to look at you, correct? Not the janitor, not the cafeteria workers, right? There's an orthopedic.
They contact an orthopedist. They send them the x-rays. It's reviewed.
Right. So when you go in for child abuse to the point where your pediatrician sends you there, the DCP&P workers there, like on the phone, telling the doctor about these reports and whatever's going on. The doctor sees Corey, but yet there was no child abuse expert available. So let me ask you this. If you go to the hospital with a bone protruding out of your leg, are they going to send you home until the next day?
No.
Not. So
No.
why would they send an abused child home to the abuser until the next day and think that he might make it back? Shame on them.
Exactly.
No answer. No answers. There's absolutely, I mean, people that don't work for the agency would know not to do that.
I want to know where the cover up was and why. And if it goes back to the Gregor family, to be quite honest, if I was Bree and I'm not Bree, I would file a wrongful death suit against Christopher Gregor because we know his parents will pay it since they have a very, very nice house in North Carolina now.
Oh, that would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. I was able to successfully send you the public document that they're required to post. It's the child death and fatality reports are mandated to report. And so that's something that I emailed to you. And it's very, very, it's a detail of all the quote unquote official reports that they based their decisions on.
Okay.
And
Let's
so
go through Corey's last day 5 years ago. And that's going to be really hard. And I would like to do a separate show to go through the policies, if you're okay, Mindy, because I want to do an entire checklist of what they didn't do and why they didn't do it, because something else is behind this. I'm telling you what, they weren't against Corey. Something else was going on.
Well, I think Rebecca probably has an idea of what it is, and I think that her hunch is right. I think
she's exactly spot on.
Absolutely, absolutely. There was bias, absolute bias in the investigations and cross referral. So whenever you get a referral of abuse and neglect, and when you investigate, it's very, very common that the alleged perpetrator will be like, oh, well, guess what? She or the other person does, or my neighbor does, or how horrible the person that called in the referral is. And so what they do is they end up generating another referral out of it against the person, just to take the light off themselves, But when you go out there, a good worker would be like, okay, I gotcha. I hear you. I'm definitely going to be following up. I got you. But let's focus on why I'm here. I am here because of this. And of course, with a true, genuine, investigation. Like, let me just stay focused on one thing at a time, please. I got you. I hear you. And that did not happen. So there was bias because Christopher Gregor is a psychopath and he's very cunning, and he is just an absolute control freak, the control wheel with domestic violence. They didn't identify that as an issue, and we could do another show on it. Absolutely,
anytime you want. Well, my thing has always been, and I about got knocked out of my britches when Bree told me this. When Christopher Gregor fled from the hospital and was found states away, the New Jersey troopers came to get him and not the FBI. That in itself is a crime, a horrible crime. And nothing was done.
Well, they called it an unintended death, and that he allegedly left out of grief. And everyone handles their grief differently, but the police
Tennessee and Arkansas, and he was sleeping with women and eating at Mexican restaurants and getting drunk.
We can go into the final days. I know you want to go into that because that's very that's really pertinent, but it's just mind-boggling, really, because
murder trial going on in New Jersey. I'm Michael Ayala. Christopher Greger is accused of first-degree murder in the death of his 6-year-old son, Corey Micciolo. Now, prosecutors don't believe that the treadmill incident caused Corey's death, but they say it was all part of chronic abuse. Now, on the stand now is a triage nurse. She's at the medical center where the defendant brought Corey. This is April 2nd, the day he passed away. So let's get you back inside that court.
Calling your attention to April 2nd of 2021.
We have a lot of people saying they're subbing to Rebecca's channel. Britt said, I'm sure he's having a great time in lockup. Once they catch word of what he's done, he's doomed. I told Rebecca the story this morning. I think she had heard it before about Adam Montgomery.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he murdered Harmony. And once several people in lockup, as people like to call it, you know, the clink, the jail, you know, that type of stuff. A bunch of guys went to poop in his issued toilet in his cell. And when he went in there, they caught him and they stuck his head in it. And then they used the plunger on him. He went to the infirmary and then the hospital. Okay. And guess what? I lost 0 sleep over that, Mindy. Does that make me a bad person?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because I've had similar, prayers that he gets a little bit of what he gave, abuse and trauma and harming individuals beyond Corey. This person you have up here, triage nurse, if I remember correctly, he's no longer a triage nurse. He's left the business. Some of these people that testified at the trial, Rebecca, do you remember, or you weren't able to attend the trial because you were a potential witness. But yeah, some of the witnesses that were permanently traumatized by this, and he's one of them, I believe.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he went into a different field or
Yes.
maybe he's just not on the clinical side anymore.
I'm not sure either. I don't remember.
Yeah.
It was a while ago, but I remember when I heard of it, I just shook my head like another person that couldn't help. Yeah. It was too late. And speaking of the last days, it was too late because all day Corey sat, and on his last day alive, all day Corey sat bleeding internally and slowly dying while Chris just had a girlfriend over, slept over, and was texting another girl and sending
Several
a selfie.
girls. I think he was texting 2 or 3 that day while Corey's dying next to him.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Corey's dying next to him. He's pale. He's like leaning over, and he's like smiling.
But Chris made sure he ordered himself some McDonald's while he was watching Corey die.
Oh yeah, he ate. I don't know if there was anything in Corey's stomach. I don't think he ate.
And took a selfie. The selfie. He was eating pizza, taking a selfie. I couldn't believe it.
At approximately 3:48 p.m. was a patient brought to the emergency room named Corey Micciolo.
Yes.
And can you tell the court who brought Corey?
I need to apologize to Rebecca because I say her last name wrong all the time. I say Micciolo, but it's Micciolo.
Micciolo.
It's okay.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
I'm not Greek, but I promise I'll pronounce it correctly. I promise I will. You may have to help me, Rebecca.
into the
I'll do that.
emergency room?
Chris Greger.
And ultimately, did you learn the relationship of Chris Greger and Corey?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors what the relationship was?
Chris Greger is Corey's father, and Corey is Chris's son.
And where were you when you first saw Mr. Greger with Corey?
I was in the waiting room. I was speaking to another patient at the time. I'm right near the door, speaking to another patient. I did not hear any commotion. I did not hear any urgent sound that would redirect my attention. A registrar came up to me and said, "Bill, you have to look at this." So I went over to Corey, and he was in the arms of Chris at the waiting room entrance, or just past the waiting room entrance near the desk.
Now, the first time that you observed the defendant with Corey, can you explain to the jurors the position of Corey in relation to the defendant?
Corey was over. Corey was in Chris's arms. His arms were over Chris's shoulders. His legs were dangling. His arms did not look like they had much movement to them. His legs did not look like they had much movement to him. His head was rested on Chris's shoulder. His head was his face was difficult to visualize. So when I first approached them, I knew that something was concerning, but I couldn't see everything I needed to see. So I was depending on Chris to convey a sense of urgency or unwellness that I did not get from him at first. It was more of a clinical description of what was going on.
Okay, I'm going to let Rebecca answer this. Bree told me years ago, you have told me, by the way, we have a whole playlist where you can hear Bree in her own words. You can see the protests. You can see everything. I'm telling you, and anyone can use it. Put it on your channels. Keep his story going, please, because there's other children out there like Corey. Okay,
Right.
April 2nd will always be Corey's Day. I understand it's not a great reminder. It's not, but it's an important reminder. What?
It started sort of like Good Friday. It starts, right? Rebecca, doesn't it feel like Good Friday is the beginning of it a little bit?
Well, we've had a lot of other tragedies since Corey. So for us, the month of March really is, starts our, I don't even know what you would call it. It's just, a hard time for us. And we don't really look forward so much to the Easter holiday, because that's when Corey passed, Good Friday. April 2021. So, that's a horrific reminder. He didn't get his Easter basket that year, and I still have it. And, it's tough. It's just didn't have to be this way.
So if everybody wants on Good Fridays, they could say a little prayer, think of Rebecca, Brianna, Nicole, Sadie, everybody, Gino, Jimmy, the whole family. Good Friday is, the Easter, but yeah.
It did happen on Good Friday 5 years ago, hence why, today is Thursday. We're having Holy Thursday.
Oh,
Rebecca, so exactly what did Chris say? I know you weren't there when he brought him to the ER, and we know it took a lot of coaxing for him to take him to the ER.
We don't know what he said. Honestly, whatever was said in trial, to my knowledge, Chris just kind of casually stood there like as if Corey got stung by a bee or something, or scraped his knee or something. He didn't show any urgency, as you can hear the nurse say that. And the other nurse that testified, I don't know if you have that, but he just didn't show any immediate, like, oh my God, my son, nothing. He just kind of walked in with them. And, we don't know exactly what was said. We got a little bit of it at trial, but obviously we don't know I believe what Chris said was, oh, my son was dropped off by his mother. He was always forming his defense, no matter what. He was always building a defense for himself. Oh, he got dropped off by his mom this morning at 9 o'clock and he was loopy and tired. I believe that's what he said. So he was already building a defense, like, acting as if Bree dropped him off like that or something,
Yeah.
Always about Bree doing something wrong. No
Right.
accountability for him.
Bree or us.
And
somebody
I did
in my
not
house.
immediately feel I had to rush them back.
Can I say this out loud and it won't offend anybody?
Sure.
I think he hated you more than Bree.
He hated me more because I was more of a threat to him. Whenever we would go to court and I had custody, Chris never won against me. He actually lost custody for a drug arrest, and I got full custody back. Chris never won when it was against me. And that's why he fought me to give Bree custody back, because he knew he could use, oh, she's a drug addict, she's this, she's that, and make himself look better. But that's why he hated me, because I don't shut my mouth, in case any of you haven't noticed. I can't be silenced. I won't shut up.
Not you, Rebecca. Oh my gosh, you're such a timid little mouse. I can't get you to talk. My goodness. Luann said she thinks Corey's birthday should be Corey's day.
No, and we do celebrate him. That's coming up soon too. It's just from March to May. I mean, every day is hard, but these special moments that you think about, what would we be doing? We do celebrate him on his birthday. As hard as it is, we celebrate. We'll have a cake, we'll take a cupcake and a candle up to the cemetery with my granddaughter. I mean, God, I hate doing that. I hate it. But we do it.
What kind of cake do you get?
I usually get like just a random, I don't know, a couple different cakes, at home. And then we take just a big cupcake to the cemetery with a candle. No particular flavor or anything, just a cake. And, we just go up and sit there with Corey for a little bit. Usually we take 2 cupcakes because Eliana wants to eat one while we're there. So, we let her do that, and that's what we do. And I freaking hate it. I hate celebrating the birthday of a kid who's not here.
Mm-hmm.
And he should be. I fucking hate it. I hate my life. I hate the way I feel. I hate everything about this. I just fucking hate it. I'm sorry.
No, baby, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. Let's see if Susan can come up. Hold on. Hang on. I mean, the link is there for anyone to come up and talk to Rebecca, please. I'm saying please. We all feel you, baby. We do, but we don't feel exactly what you're feeling. But I mean, let it all out. I'm telling you, we're friends. I'm telling you, we are friends.
And Rebecca, I want to say that, you've been severely traumatized, and the way you feel is absolutely so spot on. It's normal, and it may be permanent. Like, there is no time frame. People say, give you advice, it's going to get better, whatever, 10 years. But we're here for you, and we love you, and we mourn with you, and we can't feel what you feel at all. But we see absolutely your pain, and we wish we could do something for you.
Thank you.
You're strong ass, and you're so funny too, man. When you said that, I have to just say this. When you said that he walked in like Corey got stung by a bee. I mean, that's just the humor. I mean, I just have to say, I mean, that's just like, bam, this little one-liner.
No, she is funny. She is
She's
funny.
hysterical. She is hysterical. A lot of people don't see Rebecca, during her, funny, light self and celebrating, her son's birthday and, other things. And it's a struggle every day, but she pushes through because she is the leader. She's the head of the family, and she knows that everyone counts on her.
I agree.
Was with his mother the night before. He did tell me that the patient was at Jersey Shore University Hospital and had a workup and was discharged. And just a side note, once you hear that, less than 12 hours later, you kind of go, okay, like maybe he's not that sick. So, I need more information. So talk more. So Chris told me that earlier that morning, he appeared loopy, he was very drowsy, and he put him to bed. And later in the afternoon, Corey continued to be loopy and drowsy. And when all that time passed and he was still fatigued and not himself, that's when he brought him into the ER. So that's what he told me.
Hi, Susan. I know that this case really, really hits you hard. You're a grandma.
It does. And it is beyond me how his grandparent, could see these injuries on this child and try and put it on Bree. I can't. You protect your babies. I would go to war for one of my grands. And my kids are good parents. But if I saw something like that, I would be picking up the phone and reporting it myself after I kicked their ass all the way to the police station. No, there's no excuse for this. And I hope you can get Freedom of Information Act, isn't that what it's called? I hope you can get those records.
Yes.
Because this is bullshit. They're protecting themselves, and it makes me sick. I've always thought that, and I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you. The Gregors were very well aware of what Chris was doing because Corey wasn't his first victim. But that didn't come into court. I don't know why, but Chris was abusing another child right around the time he started visitation with Corey.
Ran and ran. I remember. They protected him because his dad was in law enforcement and the family had money. That's the only reason that I can come up with.
I think that played a big part in it. The DCPMP workers would go to this big house where everything was, everybody was so put together and they all had a big education to brag about and hired, state trooper, and they judged. They came to my apartment and looked at us like, worse twice. And, they just assumed that we were the bad ones.
White trash.
It's not fair that's.
No, it's not. And I'm not saying you're white trash. I'm saying that's what they assumed.
Oh, yeah, that's what we were called. Yeah, Chris's family totally called us that.
Nasty. Yeah. And I hate people like that. That's so disgusting to me.
Yeah. We have a friend from across the pond. I'm not buying it. She's choked up right now. She wants to say something to Rebecca.
Hi, darling. I'm sorry I'm crying, but my heart goes out to you. I lost my son. The anniversary of his death is coming up on the 15th of this month.
I'm sorry.
I know most people are, but no sorries would ever bring him back, and no sorries would ever bring your child back. All you have to do, lovely, is remember the good times, and you will. He will never. And you know, people say to me, "Oh, do you remember when Luke used to blah blah blah?" You know, bad mouth, and I go, "No, I don't actually. I don't remember those." He will always be the good boy. You know, everything he did was wonderful because he lived.
Yes.
Right.
And you gave him life. I'm sorry. God, I'm sorry. I'm crying, Brooks.
Honey, I broke down on Rebecca earlier today. Okay.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you something, Susan, while she's collecting herself. What do you think about some of the comments I've seen on Rebecca's channel? That's the reason I think she probably needs a managing moderator. And we
And
can,
I said, if I'm available and I'm over there, throw me a wrench and I'll get rid of you sons of bitches. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I am just so
Susan,
outraged.
Susan, you never fail to, you know, just bring everything together. You're bloody brilliant. You are bloody brilliant.
Like you haven't had the sadness and the victim blaming, and it's gross.
It is
Why would people do
horrible.
this?
Some of the
I am
stuff
so
that
sorry.
people say,
someone said to Rebecca, we're tired of hearing about your dead grandson.
yeah, like get over it.
Yeah,
You
me too. I
No.
wish he was alive. Shut the fuck up.
Right.
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
Woo, here we go. Well, everyone, I
How
want to
dare you?
She didn't say nigger, cunt, or talk about Islam or Jewish people. Okay, everything is
We
fine.
just
I am
We
sorry,
just
Brooke.
talk about-
I lost my mind there for a second.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm just letting everyone
That's
know.
okay, Susan.
YouTube terms of service. Is anyone offended?
Rebecca, my heart goes out to you. I know what it's like to lose a son. A lot of people on this channel come here because Brooks is a very compassionate woman. I found her because of Summer, and she's always been compassionate with me, and I know that she would always be compassionate with you. My heart goes out to you and your family in this shit time.
I love her.
Yeah.
I love you.
And I love you.
Thank you I appreciate your kind words, and I am sorry for your loss. And
Yeah, losing a child is topsy
The worst
turvy.
thing.
You know,
The worst
they should
thing.
bury us. They should bury us. We shouldn't
Yeah.
bury them.
exactly, that's the order it's supposed to go in, you know, and you
Yeah.
just
But sometimes Satan pops his head in and goes, "Oh, whoa, you know, everything's going great." Because everything was going great for my son. He had his own business. He had a beautiful house. He had beautiful customers. Then he, not like your son, okay, he wasn't, my son did have cancer. He didn't know he had cancer. None of us knew. He was diagnosed the end of February. By the 15th of April, it was game over.
oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
None of us had time to even come to terms with it.
Right.
So quick.
So I'm not saying that any death is sweet, but I wish I had time to sort of go, okay, if you want to say that my son's got cancer, yep, I'll come to terms with it. It isn't a sweet death. There's never ever a sweet death. It's always
Yeah.
going to be horrific.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
I'm just finding it doesn't seem to get easier, and I keep being told that it will get easier, but it just I don't know. I haven't seen it
Can
yet.
I ask something personal?
Yes.
Sure.
Are you seeing a therapist to help
Oh,
you work
boy.
through these
Am I
feelings?
seeing a therapist? I'm seeing a
Okay.
therapist. I'm seeing a psychiatrist more often
Okay.
than not.
Okay.
I do it all.
Okay. Okay. Then it's eventually going to find its place, the grief. That's all I can say. And I love
Yeah.
you.
I sure hope
I
it
wouldn't wish this
gets
on
better.
anybody.
Rebecca, like I said, it's the type of tragedy and the loss and how it happened, quick,
Yeah, that's
how
the thing.
everybody's different. It could be permanent. In your
If it
case,
was an
Rebecca,
accident or if it was a sickness, it could be dealt with. But this is just hatefulness and evil.
I always
How,
said,
how do you find a place for that? It's just wrong.
right. I said, if God forbid Corey had gotten hit by a car, you could almost accept that. Okay, that was an accident. It would be horrible. But, or if he had an illness and, but the fact that someone just decided
Deliberately hurt him. Just to
right.
hurt him.
I mean, you can't
Yeah,
accept that.
that is the most. That is probably
That's,
got to be the hardest thing to come to terms with. Is that somebody deliberately targeted your little boy?
Yeah. And
and
somebody
I said this over and over. You got to love your children more than you hate your ex.
yeah, I just
You've got to love your children more than you hate yourself. And I'll tell you what, I've got
That's
a
you.
mirror that I bought in my bedroom, and I look at myself in the morning and I think, Jesus Christ, why have I got that bloody mirror in my bed? It's like a torture mirror. I don't actually like looking at myself.
yeah.
But my
It's-
heart is with Rebecca. My heart and my love and my thoughts are with you. I know we're thousands of miles apart, but this is a horrible, horrible, horrible club that we
Yeah.
are in.
Nobody wants to be a part of.
No,
I have a
I
quick
don't.
question. I have a quick question. Did you say that you get some hate about being upset still about your son's passing? Because Rebecca on her channel, sometimes people, come on and say, oh, just get over it. Why are you still talking about it? And I'm not sure who these people are,
Yeah.
but
Sorry, is that directed to me or?
yeah, does that happen to you? Did I hear you
Yes,
say that? Or?
absolutely, absolutely. Even before I actually buried my son, I didn't have my son buried. I had him cremated, and I asked my children, my eldest and my youngest, because Luke was the middle boy, if they could help me. Because I've got a will. I wrote a will and said, I want to be cremated, and it's not the kind of conversation you have with the children and say,
Yeah.
oh, if you die, what? Because you don't do that. So when my son died, and it was really quick, I spoke to my children and said, what the fuck do we do? Do we have him cremated or do we have him buried? I don't know. I ended up having my son cremated. That was
Yeah.
my choice.
Yeah.
And then, even though I invited my two younger, remaining children to help me to make a decision, my daughter actually, when I had my son cremated, she sent me the most nasty. I don't know if it's nasty. I think it is. I'll put it out there to everybody else. But my daughter said that I was to see you next Tuesday because I had offered my son up to the devil by having his body
Oh,
burned.
that's nonsense. That's nonsense.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
That's nonsense.
Yeah. Well,
But
Rebecca's got some little bit of hate on the channel, so if you all can, join her channel and send her some love and support like she gets here,
Yeah.
that would be great because she deserves all the
everybody
love
is
and
sending
support.
you. I'm sending you love, Rebecca.
Thank you.
And
I
I'm
appreciate
so
that.
sorry that you've lost your son. It's a shit club to be in, but my advice to you is, I know you've mentioned that you've got pictures about your house and everything, but have a big picture of your son blown up and put it on the wall like it's a life-size one. I've done that, and as I
Yeah.
open my front door, everybody sees the face of my son.
Yeah, I have something similar to that. Someone photoshopped my son and my grandson Corey in a picture with my daughter and my new granddaughter. So it looks as if they're
Beautiful.
alive and well in the picture, and it's a big picture I keep, in my living room. And then I have I call it a shrine. It has my son's urn there, and then all of Corey's, little pictures and little toys and little things that have been sent to us from people all over the world. And I have a memorial garden at my house as well. So, my
Yeah,
son
I
and my
heard
grandson,
that.
they're never going to be forgotten, but I wish that they were here and I wasn't having to
Of
do
course you do. Of course you do. I mean, my son had his own house. He had his own business that he'd built up from the time he was a chef, and then he thought, oh, sod this, and he became a window cleaner.
No, nobody could give you shit about your children's funeral arrangements. And
Yeah.
I mean that's
Yeah.
it. I mean, we're giving
Yeah.
all the support we can today.
Absolutely.
And we have a secret donor here in chat that sent quite a bit of money for Corey's plaque. And no, it was not me. But these things are very important for keeping our loved ones alive. And so people can see them. And there's no thanks to be given. The thanks are, we thank you, Rebecca.
Yeah.
You know,
We
Rebecca's
thank you,
channel.
Rebecca.
I'm sorry, Rebecca's channel. I love the name of it. It's called "Can You Hear Me Now?" ? Exclamation. It just says like so much right there, and it's like the Corey Micciolo story. So like if you Google "Can You Hear Me Now?" with a ? Exclamation and Rebecca's name, you should be able to find it quickly. And then there's a link. But I love the name Rebecca. She's also, besides everything she does and has in her home, she does use the channel for, healing, just expressing what's going on. So Corey, his legacy is never forgotten. So he is always, she keeps his memory alive through the channel. Besides Justice for Corey, Facebook, she has their channel, Can You Hear Me Now? ? Exclamation. I love it. And it's in its infancy. I think you've had it on. I don't know how long, Rebecca, have you had it on?
I don't remember. It's not
Me
too
either.
long. Listen, it's not taken off like I expected, but I just don't commit to it 100% because my mind doesn't allow me to do that. I can't focus on any one thing for long periods of time. That's part of my disability. So,
I'm pretty quick.
I'm working on it.
I'm pretty quick in catching on. As soon as
I just want to real quick rewind and go back to people like Brooks, and there were other YouTube content creators and Brooks was I believe the first one to really interview and bring Corey's story to light.
Brooks.
I did. And Susan was the only moderator in there.
Yeah, and I just am so thankful to Brooks and others that picked it up and talked about it. And it kind of went away after trial and sentencing. People no longer talked about Corey, and that killed me. I can't have that.
Yeah.
And I know some people think like, oh, get over it, but I just can't.
No, that's not.
No.
Susan, remember when you got the wrench and you sent me a message and you said, what the hell do you want me to do with that?
Yes, I did.
Can you tell the jurors what that is?
Long email.
That is a CD which contains video of
because people were in there blaming Bree, and I was trying to do the interview,
Oh,
and like, what are you talking about? And Susan was like knocking people out left and right. Pat Hay, our main moderator, she
yeah,
goes, and
that was her.
Brooks, yeah, Pat was there too.
I can't stand the victim blaming.
Nope.
Possible security footage from that day, April 7th.
And is that another surveillance video following the previous video, which would have been taped?
Yes,
And you're familiar with that video?
yes,
And you've seen it before you've come to court today?
yes,
And you're actually depicted in this video?
I am.
Your Honor, permission to move into evidence, S48C, and publish?
Objection. S48C in evidence.
Hey, Brooks,
Now, is that you depicted in that video?
I'm going to jump down. I just want to say my heart goes out to Rebecca. My love is with her.
Absolutely, baby.
Thank
And
you.
you are so beautiful. We love you.
Good to see
Thank
you.
you so
And thank-
much. Thank you.
Susan,
Thank
Susan is
You're
your name, right?
welcome.
If you
You're
can help me
welcome,
with
Brooks.
YouTube,
I'm sorry, what?
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me on the show. Thank you.
Bye,
Anytime,
honey.
baby.
It was good to see you.
bye.
She is such a sweet lady. She really is. And this really hit her heart.
A lot. I like her a lot.
I do too.
Very
Now-
kind.
She's sweet.
Seeing him go into the hospital room and like turn around, not concerned. 5 years ago today.
Yes, yeah. I
And is
walked
that
this
Christopher Gregor depicted in that video?
way. Yes,
And is that Corey depicted in the video?
yes,
And does that accurately depict you taking Corey into room 6 of the emergency room at the
Yes.
hospital? No other questions, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Good afternoon. Mr. Doyle,
yes,
when you were working in the emergency room in 2021, were you a nurse practitioner then?
no, registered nurse still.
And how long had you been a registered nurse at that point?
7 years.
When you were assigned to triage, because you had the 7 years, I assume you had obviously the 1 year of necessary experience to work in triage.
Yeah.
And you had certifications from ENA and AHA.
Yes.
And just for the jury, AHA is what?
AHA is the American Health Association.
Or what about ENA?
Oh, Emergency Nurse Association.
Thank you. Now, when you first put your eyes on Corey, fair to say he was cleanly dressed, correct?
Yes,
Now, you saw or talked about during direct the 2 video or 3 video clips that we watched, correct?
yes,
Did you watch any other videos in this case?
No.
Any other videos from the hospital?
no,
Is it fair to say when Corey got out of the vehicle, he stepped out of the vehicle?
I can't say that.
When you watched the video before, did you see him start to walk?
That did not look like that to me.
And when Mr. Gregor went into the hospital, he went straight in to the hospital, correct?
Mhm.
When he parked
Yes,
his car, oh, sorry.
I'm going to say yes.
I appreciate that. When Mr. Gregor parked his car, he parked at the front of the hospital.
Yes,
And do you know, how long had you been working at that hospital at that point?
7 years.
And is it normal practice for a patient to park and leave their car in the front of the hospital?
In a situation that's emergent, I wouldn't say normal, but it's understandable.
And at the time that you approached Corey and Mr. Gregor, did you realize that he had left his car at the front of the hospital?
No, that thought didn't come to my mind.
Fair enough. When you approached Mr. Gregor, he had a mask on, correct?
Believe so, yes.
And you saw from the video somebody handed him that mask on as you
Yes.
entered the hospital?
I believe so.
So you could hear his voice, but you couldn't see his lips moving, correct?
Well, it was kind of, you can see in the video, it looked a little down.
Down under the nose?
At least.
Do you recall seeing his lips moving?
I can't recall.
Now, at one point during the video, you actually picked up, it looked like you picked up Corey's left arm. What were you doing at that point?
So I assisted the registrar to put on the wristband, and I was also feeling for a pulse.
And during the course of your direct, you indicated that you had learned during your conversation with Mr. Greger that Corey had been discharged the night before from a different hospital, correct?
Yes.
So your concern lessened a little bit,
Temporarily, for a second.
because you knew another doctor had at least seen Corey
Staff, not just doctor.
from a hospital that seen
Yeah.
Corey. And they still discharged you, correct?
Yeah, just something to consider.
Now, you made a statement, or actually spoke to an investigator on or about April 8th, correct?
Or was it, I can't recall. Oh, it was here, the 104? I know.
You actually spoke
What
to
year are you referring to?
2024.
I'd have to hear it. I can't recall.
Do you remember speaking to a Detective Mitchell?
Yes.
And you had described Detective Mitchell.
All right, we're coming to the top of the hour here. I want to bring back in our guest, trial attorney and law professor.
You can argue that he accidentally went too far in punishing Corey, but you cannot argue the fact that he called Bree, asked for the medical card, and then proceeded not to tell her where to find her son, and he let him die alone.
Yep.
That's cruel. That's cruel. Deliberately cruel.
You know, after he delivered the beating that caused Corey to be in that shape, he should have immediately taken him to the hospital. He should have called 911. But
He should have.
He could have said, I screwed up, but he didn't.
Mhm. No accountability whatsoever, never. And his parents never enforced it.
Nope.
And that, yeah, I will not forget that. They enabled this behavior.
They sure did.
Makes me sick. You let
They
that baby die alone.
So, Rebecca, what do you have planned for the rest of the day?
We're going to go to the cemetery and then come back to my house and eat. And then I'm going to do a live show on my channel at 8 o'clock.
Tonight,
Be there.
yeah, I
Okay.
should be there. Yeah, I'm
So
going to try and be there.
Okay, so that's 7 o'clock my time. For those of you that just subscribed to Rebecca's channel, if you didn't, then you just didn't. You didn't hit the right button. So let's all be here. And I know some great moderators that can help you. I promise everything will be nice in the chat, but it could be the after show comments you might need some help with. And I mean, I can help you with it. But those are hurtful words. I mean,
There's no excuse for it.
I mean, do you want me to give you some examples of things people have said about Susan?
I don't really care. It's none of my business what people think about me. I don't care.
Okay, all right. Because we have 3 channels, and they get down with Susan. She's a troublemaker. Nobody says anything bad about me, and so it works out good in my favor. It just seems to always be Susan or Pat or Kat, but I mean, I love them either way. All right, so I need everyone to be there tonight. Okay. 8 o'clock Eastern at Rebecca's channel. All right. And I'm going to spread the word around to other channels to make sure we have all the support we need on a horrible, horrible day for Rebecca. Does everyone got that? Okay, Pat said she'll be there. Crime Beat
I'll be
is
there.
a reminder. Okay. Rapper, you're the biggest troll I've ever known, so you know how to dig up people. And I'm telling you, there is grace after tragedy. And it will happen. I'm telling you, it will happen. and it will happen for Rebecca. It will happen for Bree. There's a ton of things going on with this case. And the appeal is not going to be good. Not to scratch a scab, but Rebecca, will you be there at the appeal to tell them not to let him out?
Well, we learned that in the appeal process doesn't work that way. They don't get any input from victims, families, or anything. It's basically, you know, a few judges or somebody, and they make decisions based on, I guess, past history. And with the appeal process, let me back that up. Depending on what the appeal is based on, which we're not allowed to know because it's sealed, you know, because Chris is protected yet again. God, if only Corey had so much protection, right? So
Absolutely.
depending on what the appeal is based on, that's what these people investigate, I guess. They need to make sure that all the, you know, everything was done appropriately and Chris wasn't done wrong in any possible way, you know, that would warrant a new trial or something. So that's basically what the appeal is based on. It doesn't really have anything to do like with, we don't get to have any input. We don't even get to know what the appeal is based on. They don't communicate with us.
Sometimes appeals are actually part of parole. And so they'll do an appeal. They'll do like an entire appellate, but the parole board will also be there. And so the victims' families can be there to say, no, don't do this.
Yeah, that's
I
correct.
Trial.
You know, that doesn't seem to be at the, you know, the stage that his appeal is at this time. But then again, I don't know because they don't report to us anything. It's kind of like if I happen to call and ask questions, I might get an answer, but there's still a lot they can't tell me. So I don't get a lot of answers. It's just kind of like a wait and see kind of thing.
Brooks, in Rebecca's case with Gregor, his appeal is administrative based on the conviction. He's appealing the conviction, so it's not the part of the parole that you're speaking of, but I know that process as well. No, I don't know it. I'm familiar with it. So he's appealing the decision, and what they do is it's basically law. Did the judge make a decision that was against Christopher Gregor's rights, or did he make an error? But let me tell you, this judge was so careful. He went along with everything, but that's what the appeal's about basically administrative law, and whether the judge, all the decisions that he had to make regarding entering evidence, entering testimony, what they were going to exclude, like what Rebecca was explaining, they didn't bring in any of Christopher Gregor's past, which he had a lot of past. So they excluded many things, but it's what they let in. You know, that's, you know, there's certain things that's what the appeal process is like for the conviction. Does that make sense?
Absolutely makes sense. I didn't even realize that in some states you can have an appellate court that goes with the parole system. Okay.
Yeah, it's actually not part of the prosecutor's office is going to be
they're handling
it, and I don't know if Rebecca, I don't think that the prison system has anything to do with this. This is actually, they started, you know what, Rebecca, you don't remember this, but they actually started writing the appeal while we were waiting for the jury's decision.
Oh, no, I know. They already had thrown the word appeal out there months prior. We knew that there would be an appeal. Of course there would be.
And also, I also found out, Brooks and Rebecca, I think we talked about this, that appeals, like everyone files an appeal. Mm-hmm. Like when you get convicted, it is not uncommon to file an appeal. It's like part of like what you do. You do when you get convicted, like, oh, let's look for any loophole we can. So that's what they're doing right now.
It would be nice to know what his appeal is based on, but of course he's protected and we're not allowed to know that. So
yeah, the appeal has been, they permitted him to make it confidential.
It's
And there was
sealed.
certain
Yeah.
criteria. There's certain criteria that they use to determine if a case should be sealed, and that's what it's called. His appeal case is sealed. It can't be seen by anybody, I guess, other than the parties involved.
And that's
So-
what I'm trying to educate myself on, because Oklahoma is totally different. You can never combine appeals with parole, and appeals are not sealed here.
Yeah, it's very odd.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that it would be sealed. I thought for certain we'd know exactly what he based it on. I have an idea of what the appeal is based on. You know, a lot of people do.
Well, I mean, it can be one thing or another, and then he'll skate through that, and then he'll go back to jail. You know, that's pretty
Let's
much
hope.
it. What
Let's
really pisses me off is that the appellate system, well, we don't have double jeopardy here, and I can't discount the founding fathers because you get one shot, right? So, I mean, either you introduce the evidence at first and you drag out a trial for 5 months, or you don't. So, I mean, I can't really say anything about that. So I want everyone to have a great, lovely lunch and rest of your afternoon. I'm going to be back here at 12, okay, noon. And then I'm going to see everybody back here, not here, but on Rebecca's channel. And today's a good day. Everyone here knows how to use social media. Please share Corey's story. You can share this show. You can share a picture of him. I promise you can. And keep his name out there.
I appreciate that. Thank you again, Brooks, for doing this today. I appreciate you and everyone else. And hopefully I see some of you tonight.
Oh, you will. Oh, you will. Are you kidding me? Oh, yeah, you will. And let's also have a big round of applause for True Crime Beat, because her video last night brought me to my knees. It was a great video.
It was. Thank you. It's really nice.
All right, you guys, I will see you back here in an hour. I didn't mean to keep you that long. I basically lied to Rebecca when I said this would be only an hour long, but I mean, the conversation just kept flowing and I couldn't stop, and nor could we. And here we go. It's still going. Britt has a question. She wants to know how Corey's mom is doing.
Oh,
She's okay. She's working and raising her daughter and trying to cope with the loss of Corey. And she also lost twins. You know, so she's, you know, she's just trying to live, I guess, is, you know, trying to survive, basically. She's okay.
she's really just like Rebecca inside. But you know, when you have a baby, you have a child, you know, you wake up every day and you move forward. And she's very, very strong, absolutely beautiful. And she works hard, and she is a wonderful mother. And, you know, that's what keeps her going, Rebecca. What do you think, huh?
Yeah, and I mean, you know, having another child to care for and working full time, and you know, that keeps her occupied. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know Bree has her moments, but you know, you have to pick and choose when you have them, because unfortunately, we have to wake up and live every day, and you know, you can't just crumble and stay in bed all day. So, you know, it is what it is. This is our new life, and I just you know, I just want to real quick, Brooks, before we get off of here, you know, I just want to say that, you know, we got so much support from so many of you people that we never met. I've never met Brooks, you know, so many people, but I feel like you're my friends. I feel closer to some of you than I feel to people that I've known my whole life. And I thank you for that. My family thanks you for all the support and love that we continue to get to this day. That gets us through. It does.
So you're telling me it's okay for me to call you and tell you how stupid my son and daughter-in-law are for the way they give my granddaughter a bath?
Sure.
Okay.
We can talk about that. No problem.
Because normally when I call you, it's not about Corey. It's just about some dumb shit that's going on.
And I like that, because it doesn't always have to be about my sad story. I like to engage in other things as well. I try to.
Okay.
Rebecca's a very good friend. She's a really good listener. We talk almost every day.
Or when I called you at Crime Con and I told you that I just saw True Crime Beat came out of the bathroom right behind Brian Itton and I thought they were hooking up in there. Yeah, I mean, I do those things.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that kind of conversation. That's okay. I welcome it.
All right. Well, I welcome all of you, and you're exactly right. Even if we haven't met face to face, well, I'm going to tell you right now, you're not missing much, but we can do it any time. We have a wonderful community, wonderful friends. Mindy, you're amazing. Thank you so much for today. And
Thanks, everybody.
Another show very, very soon. And I will see you guys back here in an hour. It's just going to be a premiere. And remember, Corey cannot be forgotten. Okay?
Never.
Thanks, Brooks. Thank you, everyone.
Never, never, never.
We love you, Rebecca.
Thank you.